Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to today's episode of Total Health Live. It is the 75th episode. And somehow we've lost Monika.
I don't have balloons. I don't have
Feeling
balloons.
Look alive. It's
75. Wow, that is historical.
I'm feeling old.
The wind is blowing my hair around.
Oh, it's like Farrah Fawcett in a suit for a photo shoot for swimsuits.
That's right. Stay tuned for the swimsuit edition.
I'm not wearing a swimsuit. Hey, well, skinny dipping does have its privileges. Do you have a fan going, or do you ever?
I do have a fan going. Yes,
oh, okay.
I'm not caught in a sort of a natural occurrence here.
Or disaster.
I was going to use the word hurricane, but
I was thinking of Ida, because Ida was my grandmother's name and Katrina is my niece's name. So it was just sort of ironic that on the anniversary of Katrina, the hurricane in New Orleans, so slammed in Ida. So I'm just waiting.
Are they related?
I'm waiting for Eva. Well, yeah, because Katrina, my niece, has some of Ida's DNA.
Okay, there you go.
So that's how it works.
That's how it works.
It's all about the science.
Yeah, and I just got serenaded twice by my mother's anthem, Sweet Caroline.
Oh, I thought you were saying Deutschland über alles.
No, Sweet Caroline.
That's your anthem?
Well, her name's Caroline.
Oh, okay. Sweet Caroline.
Caroline.
It was actually written, you do know it was written about Caroline Kennedy, right?
Caroline King? You mean Carol King?
Kennedy.
Oh, Caroline. Yes. Well, there's another Caroline. Famous Caroline in our family.
Caroline Kennedy. Yeah, she was in I'm doing my name dropping for today. She was in my class. Let's see here. You know what's funny? I deleted the file from previously, and so I'm trying to find our notes, but you can get started on what you sent me here. We're talking about, I'm scrolling through the little Facebook Messenger, our friends.
Well, we were going to talk about today.
About Cuba.
We actually did not have a chance to do Q&A last week because we had some technical difficulties.
Yes, we did.
And so we're going to cover all your Q&A questions today. But
do we do those first and then go to the COVID?
We could do that. We could do that first because
you have to leave early.
You know, truncated just the headlines. I'll just give you the COVID news headlines. Cuba is vaccinated. They're starting to vaccinate 2-year-olds.
Oh, boy.
Which I don't think that's a great idea.
Yeah, but they give them MMRs, and I don't think that's a great idea. So.
Well, their immune system is just not... Anyway, last week we were talking about... maybe children don't need to be vaccinated. And now this news this week. So just so you know, causes of death in the U.S. now are, number 1, myocardial infarction, a heart attack. Number 2, cancers. And number 3, COVID. So that is just the new update on causes. So that's we'll get back and explore that if we have time at the end, but let's get right into the Q&A. Let's get into it.
I'm looking here. I'm looking. We talked about booster shots last week. Oh, here we go. San Leandro, where is that?
San Leandro is in the Bay Area, in San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah.
See, I'm still an East Coaster. I can tell you every little town in New England.
Yes, I've been there. Lovely place.
Well, Erica happens to live there. Erica's asking the following question. Is your sister in San Leandro?
No, my sister's name is Erica.
Oh, okay. Oh, her name is Erica. And what about Caroline again?
Caroline's Mama.
Okay. Oh, so Erica, here we go. I've struggled with eating regularly for years. I can go without food for 10 hours or more. But when I get a chance to eat, I eat way too much. What can I do to alter this pattern? I'm assuming way is W-A-Y, not W-H-E-Y.
Yes. So that is a good question. And I've heard this over the years, this question. And one thinks that one should not eat till Well, I don't know if you're interested in losing weight. Was that a part of the question? Is there a
It was
weight loss
not a
issue?
question. It was just the regularity of her eating, her feeding, and
For
that she could go
feeding,
for
eating.
10 hours or more without eating. Which, I mean, heck, I can do that, but but I don't have the starvation mentality that she has of satiating.
Yeah. So it's not a good idea to over. Well, here's your clue. If you're overeating, there's something definitely out of balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, not necessarily do you have to eat in smaller feedings, but definitely if 10 hours is too much and you're overeating at that 10th hour, then you need to modify how you're eating. Maybe it's every 3 to 4 hours instead of every 10 hours. So it's going to be disruptive to your system. It sounds like, everyone's unique, but it sounds like since you're having that reaction, something is off.
If she's going without food for 10 hours, I don't know if that includes her sleep time, and there would be nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a natural thing. You don't want to be eating while you're sleeping. Like,
don't do that.
Popping grapes while you've got your eyes closed.
Although my parents on 2 occasions found me sleepwalking at the refrigerator downstairs when I was a little kid.
I've had clients that have had some sort of, sleep disorder like that, or sleepwalking disorder. And so sometimes it requires intervention, psychological intervention, psychiatric intervention, medication intervention to rectify. So for you, it only happened once or twice? It
was twice, and they just gently guided me upstairs, apparently.
Apparently, you're not supposed to wake someone who's sleepwalking.
Yes, it's actually considered to be very disturbing and shocking to the nervous system.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but Erica, we're not accusing you of sleepwalking or anything like that, but you might want to, not so much go for these long marathon stretches of fasting during the day.
Yeah, especially during the day. We've talked about intermittent fasting. Of course, you're going to have intermittent fasting if you're sleeping. You've got 8 hours right there, hopefully 8 hours. And so, I would first of all try every 5 hours, see if that lessens the overconsumption at the 10th hour. Try that, or maybe go 3 to 4 hours. I always kind of this program that I put a lot of my clients on, I usually recommend 3 to 4 hours. Every 3 to 4 hours, have something
to balance your blood sugar. It takes anywhere from, what are we saying? Depends on the person, but anywhere from maybe 2.5 or so to 3 hours or so for the food that's to be digested from your stomach and ready to pass into the intestines. But there's a lot of people who have a faster type of digestive tract, and others are slower. And I know when I've had meals that disagreed with me, I would have the same food in my stomach for 5 hours or more. So.
And here's the question. Are you not feeling hungry in that period of time? Is that why you're not eating? And, is it like you're eating at 10 p.m.? You're eating maybe at noon and then at 10 p.m. So again, the next day you might feel stuffed and not hungry. So your cycle and routine may be very off. And so you want to modify that. You should be finished eating, by about 6 or 7 p.m. to help your body go into these cycles. We have like these 3 cycles in the day. There's a digestion cycle, there's a metabolism cycle, and there's an elimination cycle. They're sometimes called different things, but it's actually the elimination. Well, let's not even talk about that because I can't remember exactly the descriptors for it, but there's elimination, digestion, and what else is there, Christopher?
Congestion.
Possible congestion. Well, that's not a regular thing. If you have congestion.
Contemplation. But it's interesting to me. I wonder, but what about Europeans? Because I've been to so many countries where the early seating for dinner is 9 p.m. And are they all unhealthy because of this?
Well, again, you have to listen to your body. Like, if that, and I don't think they overeat at that time.
No,
I don't think they
smaller portions. Yeah, they do have smaller portions. Except for one little restaurant in Florence called the Mangiò Fuoco, where they had gigantic portions.
Pasta,
Mangiò Fuoco.
Yeah. So When you think of tapas in Spain, I mean, they're just very light and, very light little finger food, So, yeah, most of those, the dining. So they usually, we've talked about this before, Europeans usually have their biggest meal at lunch,
Sure.
in the noon time period. So that's different. So
Yeah.
we don't really know what you're eating and what time that 10-hour period, that 10-hour time
we
is.
have an inkling as to why you're eating. To sustain yourself.
An inkling, yes.
An
To
inkling.
sustain.
Well, hopefully, Erica, that helps. If you have any other questions or comments,
hope so.
You can enter them down below, or you can
I hope
contact
so.
Monika directly with some more details, because I think we're missing a few details in your question. Hey, speaking of details, I used to hightail it through the city years ago when I went from St. Louis to Denver. Bill is greeting us from Kansas City.
Kansas City, here I come.
Now the question is this Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas? Because that state line does split.
We don't know, do we?
We don't know. This is one of the unsolved mysteries of Total Health Law. He says, I've got digestive issues. Oh, Bill, sorry. I have digestive issues consisting of gas and bloating. Could my diet of mostly raw veggies be the issue?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. I've seen this happen before, because I used to practically kill some of my meat and potatoes people with raw carrot juice. So you can you can talk more about this, about the advantage of steaming or lightly cooking things.
So let me ask you about the raw carrot juice. So that was difficult for them?
It was only because they were going from something that was basically starches and meats and desserts into fresh raw vegetable juices. So
well, I wonder if the juice took the pulp away, because some of the fiber.
Yeah, this did take the pulp away.
Yeah.
But in fact, the pulp would have made it worse. This was partial pulp. So I mean, but it was basically like orange Drano for some of these folks. And so we learned to make changes gradually, and that's where I had learned, and my father also, of the value of cooking, at least lightly cooking vegetables, to make them easier to digest, to break down those cell walls. So.
Well, the thing about carrot juice too, it might have been the sugar content, and that might have caused the gas and bloating. A little bit of an imbalance in the microflora, or candida might have,
Yeah, there was less gas and bloating and more opening the sluice gates. So.
Oh, so it was more of a
it was more of a laxative effect.
Laxative effect. Okay, well,
I used to gas and bloating. Yeah,
I used to make my own carrot juice with ginger, and
that's
I used
a good
to sip.
one.
Yeah, I used to sip on it on the planes, because I wanted the ginger to help me with motion sickness. So on when I flew, it actually really helped. But then I thought, too much carrot juice, like I was drinking way too much carrot juice. So I just opted for the ginger.
My father and my sister actually had a case where they did get too much carrot juice, and each of them did turn slightly orange. It wasn't jaundice; it was really the pigment from all that.
Yeah, it's the carotenoid. Yeah, and your hands.
Yeah, it was just like. So Michelle, if you're watching, do you remember that? I bet she does.
So we're back to, is it Bill?
Bill from Kansas City. Yeah, Bill's from Kansas City. He's got
City.
Gas and bloating, eating a lot of raw veggies. Could this be the issue, and what is the cure?
Well, I would actually check to see how you do with cooked vegetables. Try that, and maybe if that's still irritating you or that's still bothering you, you might need some sort of digestive aid, some digestive enzymes, maybe even some probiotics if you've got some bloating. So you may need some. Actually, ginger might help you too with your digestive ability, because maybe you're not breaking things down well. Maybe you actually, maybe you're having some bowel issues in the form of constipation. So that might be, causing you some distress too. So it could be multifaceted here, but you said bloating, and what was the other thing? Bloating and
gas.
Yes,
and
yeah.
He's mostly eating raw veggies, but I mean, for example, as you mentioned, if he's eating tons of veggies that have high carbohydrate value, like if you're eating bags of carrots and peas and things like that, you might actually find that the fermentation is going on there, and that could be responsible for part of what's going on.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Well, if it's high sugar, like we're always recommending not to have like dense protein with sugars, for example, with fruit. That's not a good thing because the fruit is digested so rapidly in the digestive system, and the meat takes a long time, 2 to 3 hours. So it's just that sugar is just sitting waiting, so it's causing some distress and something called dysbiosis, which is basically a problem with imbalances in your bacterial content or something we call the
bad bugs.
Bad bugs. Bad bugs. They're overtaking the good bugs. I mean, we need the bugs. We need the bacteria.
Exactly.
That's definitely important. And so your microbiota might be a little off.
Yeah. And so some supplementation, more than just acidophilus, because people often think that that's going to be the big thing, but there's acidophilus and bifidus and a whole host of other organisms. In fact, our body, I mean, from what I remember, is about 4.4 pounds of the average person's weight is actually in bacteria. So. Yeah,
it's like an organ in and of itself, and it functions like an organ, and we need it. And it is. We are working together with these bacteria. They are our friends.
Yes, bacteria. These are the
good bacteria.
The good bugs.
Good bugs.
As opposed to bad bugs. Bad bugs. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? So hopefully that is somewhat helpful for you. But I mean, even starting out with, if you're really hooked on raw veggies, I would start lightly steaming things and seeing if that improves what your tolerance is. I don't know if you're a vegan or not, or what the deal is, but for me, it's a little unusual to have somebody in our broadcast talk about their diet is mostly raw veggies, but good for you. I mean,
yeah. And maybe you're eating salads every day. I mean, a lot of people do that. So if it's salads, maybe you want to switch to not having salads and doing the steamed vegetables. Again, I would start with doing some steamed or cooked vegetables and see if you have the same reaction, and then take it from there. And you might need some supplementation.
Yeah. So Bill, circle back again. Let us know how that does for you. You can, as I said before, you can put a little comment in here underneath the video, since we're in 8 different locations right now. Let's move to the great state of Texas. So sometimes controversial, the Lone Star State. Barbara from El Paso is asking, she states, I suffer from digestive issues.
Again, with the digestion.
But what's with all the digestion?
All the digestion, my God.
Digestion. She's got GERD, constipation, etc. I didn't know etc. was a digestive issue. I started taking magnesium, eating prunes and bran, and I'm still having issues. What am I doing wrong? Or first of all, you need to consult with somebody, because I don't know if you're doing this all on your own, trying one thing at a time. You might need some professional consultation. Speaking of which, or whom?
Me. Call me.
Call me about their digestive issues.
Call me from Texas. Issues. You got issues. Okay. Yeah. So if you're doing all of these things at once and it's still not working, I would say do one thing at a time. And maybe take away the prunes. And what else was it? Prunes and something else?
Prunes, magnesium. I don't know if it's magnesium glycinate or chelated magnesium, or if it's an oxide or something.
So you want to have magnesium glycinate, chelate, something that'll help. And maybe you're not taking enough magnesium.
That could be too, because some people, I noticed that, because one of the supplements of magnesium glycinate that we have, actually there's 4 capsules is the equivalent that they recommend for 400 milligrams. And the problem is I find people taking only 1 or 2 because they're trying to conserve the bottle. So
yeah, and that's not it. I mean, especially if you're still having issues. I mean, when I put when I start changing a person's diet, taking out some of the more of the carbohydrates for a period of time, inevitably constipation will become an issue. Not for everybody, but for many. So I usually recommend 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams at bedtime, right at bedtime. Now, if your bowels become too loose, then you want to cut back. But 1,000, that's a good marker. You might want to try maybe incrementally doing 400 And then if that doesn't work, go to 800 and etc. Up to 1500 I would do. And so, yeah, maybe I would focus on that first. Just do the magnesium first, just to get your bowels a little more regular, and see how you do with that. Prunes, I don't know. I guess people have used them in the past, and they've been sort of an ancient, I was going to say, but no, a regular folk type of cure, and they do help. But again, don't do everything at once, because you'll never figure out what's going to be working, what is actually working.
Yeah, if you're doing too many things there, Barbara, especially if you're doing suddenly do 2,000 or 1,500 and you're squirting like a goose, it's time to cut back.
Didn't you also say Bran? She was doing
She has Bran too. So I mean, this is like,
it
reminds me of that old SNL skit. If you want to look this up, it's called Colon Blow, and then eventually they have Super Colon Blow. So
I think we used to joke about that.
We did
that skit.
Yeah, it was a great skit. You can find it on YouTube, as a matter of fact. Just look up Colon Blow. But Barbara, I would hope that you can take Monica's advice, and I would say stick with gradually increasing the magnesium. And if you start getting a loose stool, then you just cut back a little bit.
You can either start high and go low, or you can go low and start high and go up to high.
They go low, we go high.
Yeah.
But the GERD is significant. I mean, I think that you're having that reflux. That could be something separate from the regularity of the constipation.
Not necessarily, because if you're constipated, what's happening is it's stuck in your body, and if it's going to go up, it's going to go up the digestive system. If it's not going down, it's going to go up, and it's going to cause all sorts of distress, indigestion, belching, burping, and acid. So you have to be able to eliminate really effectively. I mean, it's so important to be able to have regularity,
and maybe also eliminate the foods that might be irritating your digestive system, because that could be part of it also with the reflux. I know that for me, if I have things that are way too spicy, I'll get a little bit of reflux. Mm-hmm. So I have to be cautious with that. So
yeah.
Hopefully that works for you, Barbara. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing great. So let's go to Connecticut, the Constitution state. So Nate from Greenwich is asking, says, I've got a very busy work schedule, and it's hard to fit in exercise during the day. My day starts at 5:30 a.m. and ends at 7 p.m. Any ideas? Oh, fitting exercise in. I was going to say you're going to have some challenges eating, actually, with this schedule.
Unless he eats at his work.
True. It's not a great idea to eat at your desk, because you never really have good digestion.
But we don't know if
we don't know much about Nate.
Is he working at home?
Nate is a mystery to me. I can't tell.
I mean, if you're...
He has a busy work schedule, hard to fit in. He says his day starts at 5:30 and ends at 7 p.m., but we do not know if there's commuting time involved in here.
Commuting time, if he goes out for lunch, if he brings his lunch. Nate, if you bring your lunch, if you're having, like these breaks during the day. I mean, a lot of people, unfortunately, do eat at their desk, which is not ideal at all. I was just making a recommendation to somebody, a client of mine, and essentially what we have lost is the actual joy of eating, and we just shovel it in. We're busy doing on our phone, watching TV, at our desk, doing something, phone call, and we're not even being present. We're not present when we eat. And so we eat, and then we finish it, and we kind of question, did I just eat that? So there's no connection going on between your brain, your satiety center, and your gut. Nothing's happening. And that physical action of bringing a fork to mouth.
Satiety. That's our word for today, kids.
Satiety.
Satiety. So, you also need some variety to have
satiety and variety. Yeah. So you want to have an element of, there is actually a satiety area in your brain. So you want to be able to have that, have that occur. And so you want to make your eating experience something pleasurable and something where you're only doing that one thing at a time. I know you asked about exercise, so I'm just
We got
taking
hooked
the
on
opportunity.
food. We're like hooked on phonics. We're hooked on food.
Taking the opportunity to kind of explore this whole thing, because we don't know how you're eating, and if you're eating like constantly at your desk.
Go out and walk over to get some food or a snack.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So you asked about fitting exercise in. So are you doing that? You could go to walk, go and have a walk and your lunch break. Walking is underestimated, but it's such a good exercise. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to go, on your Stairmaster or your recumbent bike. I mean, just walking would be good enough. And if that's the kind of exercise that you're not even considering, I would consider that as being part of, getting your heart rate up and moving. Really want to be moving.
Bike to work, watch TV while you're on a stationary bike, and you get some good shoulder movement if you're walking your vegetables.
I have someone that works here, and he cycles to work every day, back and forth. He lives a drive. He lives about 10 minutes away, but 5 minutes actually. So it's probably a 20 minute bike ride.
That's good.
And he could drive his car, but I have to get my exercise in.
It's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
Change the way you commute. Now, it's easier here in Southern California than it would be in Connecticut. But a lot of times, I've seen some of my friends in Virginia, they put snow tires on their bikes, which is hilarious.
And you can also do some restorative yoga at the end of the day, or I don't know if you have an office of your own where you can shut the door and do some, put something on your YouTube and do some exercises with some YouTube, whether it's yoga classes or something.
Or one thing, if you're on a lot of phone calls during the day, what I like to do is get up and pace back and forth. So if you can have a headset or something where you're actually walking maybe around your desk or around the office without annoying your fellow employees, unless, of course, you are self-employed, in which case, hey, you can do anything you want. You just have to get up. I mean, the average male, I believe, has, I wish I could remember the exact stats, but if you are sitting at a desk 4 or more hours a day, I think your life expectancy is reduced by something like 20% or so. It's a crazy stat. I'll drop it in here under this video later. I even have a meme about it. So also get up and move.
Yeah, get up and move, get a Fitbit, get something that's going to count your steps. I mean, I had someone mention here that works here, like, how can you go up and down the stairs, I go up and down the stairs, I don't know, 100 times at least, I'm sure. So you can't discount that either. That's definitely exercise. And you could make a point of doing extra exercise. I mean, exercise. Yeah. So you could go, even though you're going up and down the stairs all the time as part of your day, just add additional ones.
And if you want to get rid of some of the negative emotions that you have, Nate, while you're doing this, you can exercise the demons. Yep, exactly.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. Si se puede. Yes, we can. So, Nate, hopefully you can get up and move a bit. I think that's the most important thing. You can find little moments in which you can move your body around and rather than being stuck or glued to your chair. Hey, I mentioned Virginia earlier. So Anne is from Virginia Beach, Virginia. She says, I like to travel. Even during COVID, I was able to take road trips. I sometimes find it hard to eat well during my sojourns. Any ideas what I can do to make sure I fit into my travel meal plans? I guess she's looking for ideas for planning her meals while traveling. I guess that's what she's saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, most restaurants on the road will have some protein and will have some vegetables.
Yeah.
And if they don't have it on the menu, ask for it. They can prepare things for you. I mean, they may just have French fries, but they might have some carrots in the back, or some squash or some lettuce or whatever. So ask for it. Also, snacks you can keep in your car, like almonds or nuts and seeds, and mozzarella sticks and maybe even beef jerky and some fruit. Those are always great and easy to munch on.
It's funny you say that because I had a handful of almonds just before starting this broadcast. So.
Good brain food. I had almond. I had this wonderful
Almond Joy.
Gluten-free bread, and I'm with some almond butter, and it just is so good.
I want to get a bumper sticker that says "Free the glutens."
Free glutens. Free to glutens.
Like free the whales. Free the
glutens. It's interesting. When I was studying food science many years ago, we talked about gluten, and gluten is really what the description is gluten is an inferior protein, but it's still part of the baking process. It's definitely part of the baking process.
It's sticky.
It keeps things together. And of course, not all grains have gluten, like rice doesn't, and corn. Buckwheat doesn't, quinoa, millet, corn, they don't have gluten.
That's why we like our corn tortillas. If you can be gluten-free Mexican, if you have our corn tortillas.
Oh, there you go. I have gluten-free tortillas in my fridge too. And I'm happy about that. In fact, I actually have corn too. And I have some wonderful little baby artichokes that I try to get. They come 4 in a container at Trader Joe's, and I usually get those every week. And I love them. Artichokes are really good for liver health. FYI.
If you really do a deep dive and research all about corn, you're probably a person who likes to indulge in cornography. That's cornographic, those tortillas.
Yeah.
Anyway, so hopefully, and that might be, I think those are some great tips. In fact, having
cornucopia of cornography.
Cornucopia of cornography. Man, are we going to get censored off of these platforms?
I hope not. Because there's a lot of value coming from us.
Value is our number one concern. For those of you watching Total.
I hope there's value. I hope
there is value.
With a little bit of lightness, you can also get some value and some practical tips.
And you can exercise those demons. Off to Illinois. Tammy is from Evanston. Nice college town there, Tammy. She says, I'm not sure what to eat for breakfast. I have given up cereal, toast, and bagels recently.
Huh. Good for you.
I mean, that's actually really good. It's funny. When we had our honeymoon in Bora Bora, I was eating raw fish every morning for breakfast, and I loved it. I just, but I would not necessarily always recommend that to you. But think about it. What do Chinese people eat for breakfast? Chinese food.
Rice.
So it just depends on your habits. But I think, Monika, you probably agree that getting some protein in there is much more important than overloading. I mean, bagels were like, what? A bagel by itself is like 450 calories, isn't it? Depending on what it is.
I don't know, but
they're high.
It's definitely a road for having some bowel issues, perhaps too, because it's very dense. It's hard to break it down. Yeah. And then you add the cream cheese and the
definitely the cream cheese,
the schmear and the lox and all that stuff.
I probably have 3 or 4 of those in an entire year. I would say.
Yeah. I don't remember the last time I had one. But yeah, I mean, they were very trendy. What, about 10, 15, 20 years ago, everyone was having them and the big muffins. And so
the muffins that could choke a horse or a whale.
They were big. And then they went on to muffin tops, right? The muffin, you want
to lose those.
But no, they were selling the tops of the muffins. There was 2 different types of muffin tops, right? There's the muffin top.
I thought it was like love handles.
Yeah. So those are the love handles. And then they were selling the muffin tops too. So these are all just fads, and they just come and they go. But the basics are, protein and vegetables if you can. And, if you're not interested or your weight at a good weight, you can certainly have some grain as well.
A good omelet works wonders because you can load it up with spinach and onions and mushrooms and all kinds of things.
And fish. And fish.
I've had the fish.
And you can have fish in the omelets, and you can have like goat cheese and feta in that omelet, and it tastes delicious. Delicious. When my husband was doing all the cooking, he would just create these amazing omelets and frittatas and scrambles, and It was
I used to
just,
make like a garbage eggs. I would just make scrambled eggs, just throw a bunch of stuff in and keep
yeah.
rotating until I had something that could
I'm
slop on the
not
plate.
sure if the garbage part is very appetizing, but
Well, not the garbage. I mean, it was just sort of like it was a cornucopia. It was a cornucopia without the cornography.
And you can put the corn in there too. You can just, you have the corn on the cob and you take those kernels off the cob and you just put it right in there, and you can put a little salsa.
But for God's sakes, don't eat anything made by the Colonel from KFC for breakfast.
I was just told that I heard someone who was feeding their less than a year old baby things from like sort of like a Kentucky Fried Chicken chicken, and I just thought that is not good. Not good.
McNuggets or something be like
something like a McNugget.
McNonos. That's not good.
There's no nutrition there, and it's not good for the baby. I'm not sure. I assume they're pureeing it, but I don't know if a baby at what stage. Are you researching the McNuggets right there?
No, what I was doing is I was looking for Mark Percival's infant nutrition book because I saw it yesterday when I was on the shelf.
It's a great book, Infant Nutrition. I don't know if it's still available or in print, but it was a great book.
Or something. And
there's so many great recipes. I mean, I puree everything, so I feel like I'm like doing baby food all the time. Like I did kale and bok choy together the other day.
That's an interesting combo, kale and bok choy.
Yeah, it was really, and it's really, I mean, it takes a little bit of time to puree it, but it does puree. And I think I'm probably, since we have a sort of a industrial kitchen going on right now, I think I may have to invest in a Vitamix because the magic bullet is not really, we've got 2 blenders going, and I don't think they're doing the trick.
Is it the NutriBullet you have?
Yeah, the NutriBullet, and then an osterizer. So
we have one that, I think a good Vitamix would be, would work wonders for you. I mean, they're really industrial strength. The other one that we've used, gosh, I wish I could remember it. We have one downstairs that was gifted to my wife by a company, and it has all kinds of electronics in there, and it even gives you little messages once you finish blending something or creating something, like attaboy, or this should be on the food. What?
I thought they would be encouragement messages.
There's tons of encouragement, or they say, that's an Instagrammable drink you just made, and it's hilarious to read the messages.
I think that would wear on me after a while. Like,
not on me. I mean,
throw it at the wall.
I am so easily amused that really works for me.
Yeah, you like your little toys. Speaking toys. Yeah, I think that would be cute, but after a while, it's like, no.
No, because then I come up with more sayings that I might write to the company to see if they could program it in. So,
yeah.
Okay.
You're going to eat that?
Yeah, you're going to eat that? Oh, for God's sakes. Any other suggestions for Tammy back in Evanston as far as breakfast foods go? Yeah,
so protein. I mean, you could have turkey sausages, you could have bacon, a couple, just a little bit of bacon. Although I'm not a big, I think people are overusing bacon, and I think it is ridiculous. And in fact, I feel sorry for the animals. So let's try focus on more plant-based food as much as possible.
Like tofurkey bacon?
Well, that's soy. So, I mean, that is plant-based. So, yeah. I mean, I used to recommend that until I felt like, a couple of pieces, like moderation, really. We don't need a lot of meat. We don't need a lot of animal protein. We don't. So we have to find other.
What about us type O's? We do so well on that.
Yeah. So moderation, not even moderation, just limit, primarily plant-based, a little bit like the eggs, of course, some cheese. So vary it.
I'd be a pescatarian, though. I would actually do okay with that if I could have a burger once a month.
Yeah, it's tough, but yeah, stay away from the things that you already gave up, and hopefully you'll stick with that. Having some yogurt with some nuts and seeds and some fruit in there, that's nice. You could actually put some cottage cheese in there to add some additional, like not a lot of cottage cheese, but just to get the protein in. Usually when you put like a tablespoon of cottage cheese and about 3 ounces of yogurt, you don't really taste the cottage cheese. You might love the cottage cheese flavor. So if you do, add more. If not, just add, try to sneak it in so you get that extra boost of protein. And then of course there are smoothies. There are smoothies. You can add all sorts of things too.
Your bok choy kale strawberry smoothie, or would that not work?
Whatever you want to do, but
Whatever you want to
again,
do.
don't use those greens, the kale and the spinach, on a regular basis, because they have been known to be goitrogenic, which means they may affect your thyroid function eventually. Not, if you're doing it once or twice a week, but on a regular basis for years or 5 days a week, then it might be a problem.
I put the fun in function.
It will take the fun out of. It will take the fun out of. It will take the function out of fun. Fun out of function.
Function. Oh, function junction. What's your function? All right, I think we've about wrapped up.
Wrapped up?
Well, yeah, because I wanted to get you out. You got an appointment to go to, and it's 41 past the hour. So.
I'm sorry that I have to run, but I think we got all your questions. We'll save all the COVID discussion next week, right, Christopher?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of controversy. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of people are now. In fact, one healthcare practitioner whom I know up in New England just got her third Moderna, and she was knocked out took a 3-hour nap. But then again, she's been burning the candle at both ends for weeks with all these patients. So it doesn't surprise me she'd take a 3-hour nap after that. So
to be continued.
Yeah, to be continued, to be cautious, eat well, think well, act well, and your body will be as near perfect as possible. And we're coming back again to you a week from today at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. If it is Friday afternoon, it's time for Total Health Live. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye-bye. Have a